Pecha Kucha 154, Rags to Riches and back again. So this was a week where I thought I have a full-time job, I'm not especially keen on it, can I get the knowledge I need to figure out how to earn money without having to sacrifice all of my time? But before that, I read a comic book that's a little different from the normal ones I read. When I picked it off the library shelves, I did laugh out loud. It's so obviously a children's book, and saying that about Batman, which is obviously a children's book anyway, I say that derogatively, but on the back it's literally published by a different publisher who publishes books for children. I was expecting it to be exactly what it is. I wasn't disappointed. It is a Saturday morning kids show in print form. And it's not bad. It's just not anything, actually. So Batman starts in Japan fighting ninjas with some Japanese superhero you've never heard of and will never hear of. On his way to China for some reason I honestly don't think is explained. Because this is like 20 pages long and it doesn't explain anything. Batman meets the local Justice League of China. The guy in iron is this rude guy. And this is the page I flipped to when I opened the book, where Batman is making a joke with a smile on his face. And this is how you know this isn't your dad's Batman. This is your son's Batman. But I like all forms of Batman. The fact this is 60s Neil Adams Batman doesn't bother me at all. And in the back, it's like, oh, do you know why the comic book was drawn like this? Do you know why Batman's outside the panels? Do you know why the background is wrong? I mean, this is obviously written to ask 8-year-olds, do you understand how this comic is quote-unquote dynamic? I love it. But moving on to stuff for children of a different sort. There's a guy called Robert Kiyosaki. He's one of those get-rich-quick mentor guys. He said something I found very interesting. He said the rich don't work for money, and that taking the paycheck is the biggest mistake you can ever take in your life. And I thought, I want to know more about what he's specifically saying, so I bought Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I'm maybe a third of the way through it. I always want to know how rich people get rich, what they did, and just get a sense of their psychology, because there are things I share with them, things I don't. But what he basically boils things down to, and he says this in YouTube videos, you certainly don't need to buy the book, is you've got income, expenses, assets, and liabilities, and as long as you can figure out how to make money with your assets going to income instead of your income going to liabilities, you'll be fine. An interesting thing he did point out, which is, I mean, I presume it's true, I haven't fact-checked, but who cares, right? Is that taxes in both the US and the UK were only levied in the last 200 years as a consistent thing. Before that, they were just used to pay for wars. So you pay your income tax and you think you should, but maybe you shouldn't. I mean, you have to. You're legally obligated. And another thing is, much like that Batman book, in between every chapter, this has a worksheet thing going on that asks you stupid questions about the thing you literally just read. So, so there's a synergy between my reading material of the week in that regard. I did do the next page at work during a lunch break of me and the Mystic Moors collaborative comic. I've been meaning for weeks to just drag this into Manga Studio and actually, do it for realsies, but I just haven't got around to it. And during the lunch break, I was just trying to figure out how to draw again, just doing some little sketches of Frieza. I really need to figure out how to do more stuff I want to do while maintaining full-time employment. It's not my idea of fun. I did watch an RSI video done by this British dude that was in the style of a 70s BBC news article, which I found so endearing. I just thought I'd bring it up. His star advice is, if you have RSI, type on a keyboard holding pens in both hands. Brilliant. Peter Serafinowicz has a lot of videos dubbing Donald Trump in a camp voice. And the thing is, you think he's making up the words, but he's not. So he just makes it seem more farcical, but actually the farcical value comes from Trump himself. Very entertaining, but maybe only in small bursts. Steamed hams, but it's in the style of Nier Automata, which effectively has like 20 different endings. So you see the Steamed Hams Simpsons clip from the perspective of just Skinner, then just Chalmers, blah blah blah. Very much in keeping with a very interesting game. Good stuff. I did come across a YouTube channel called Alien Theory. The irony is there's not a lot of stuff on Predators there. I'm a big fan of the Predator as a franchise, only like the first film. There is lore, as difficult as that is to conceive of, but there is, and it's interesting if you're into that sort of thing. And the idea of this guy making money off of effectively 20th Century Fox's intellectual property, I wonder if that's morally justifiable or not, because I'd love to do something like this, but then they could 20th Century Fox could just shut you down and they'd actually have the legal and moral high ground. So I was watching this guy explain to me how I could make a fully automated $1 million business in 12 weeks, spending 5 hours a day. He's been sending me automated emails all week, and today was the day where he finally offered the course and a bill, a charge. It's a limited time offer to change your life for the low price of $1,000, or about £800. I was prepared to pay something for the information he was going to offer, because I think what he's talking about, there is sense to it. The idea of a business where you sell information in an automated system that effectively to people who really value what it is you sell. Think of, he was successful selling dating advice to anxious young men. Simple Pickup, his first $1 million company was called, and I think that's probably real. It's probably true, and he's leveraging that to say, "Here, I'm an expert. Buy my advice." That kind of thing. Maybe this is something I can apply to art, but there are so many people already literally doing this, both for free and for money. But I don't know what else to do. That's why I'm reading Robert Kiyosaki's book. What I need to do going forward is just gather as much information from as many different successful people as I can and see, hey, does any of this look like I could make it work on the weekend? Yeah, that doesn't sound encouraging. But anyway, I'll be off to get more library books because it's not an easy thing to do the good art on your lunch break. But that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 154, and I will see you next time.